In this presentation, I will discuss aspects of family life and dating of the LGBTQA community and how these differ from individuals who belong to a traditional heterosexual relationship composed of a husband, a wife, and their offspring. According to USA Today, LGBTQA stands for lesbian, a woman who is attracted to a woman, gay, a man who is attracted to a man, bisexual, attracted to more than one sex, transgender, gender identity differs from sex assigned at birth, queer, embrace fluid ideas of gender, and asexual, having no sexual attraction to others. Let's start by looking at the prevalence of the LGBTQA community in the U.S. Roughly 4.5% of Americans identify with this community. That's around 11 million people. Since 2012, that percent has been steadily increasing, as shown in this graph. This is largely due to the culture of acceptance cultivated by millennials. Even though the community is growing and becoming more accepted, they face numerous struggles unknown to their heterosexual counterparts. These include, but are not limited to, their ability to have a legal marriage, accessibility and stigmas around the parenting and employment discriminations affecting their financial status. The Obergefell versus Hodges civil rights case in 2015 ruled that same-sex marriage cannot constitutionally be banned in any of the 50 states. But eradicating the long-standing homophobic behavior of an entire country will not occur overnight, and same-sex couples still face numerous obstacles in their fight for equal rights. The basis of homophobia can be understood as rooted in humans' desire to keep things the same, normal and natural, things they are comfortable with. Same-sex marriage challenges their comfortability since it is not a part of the conventional institution of our society. The reasons they point to as support for their resistance include the inability to procreate or the homophobic stance of their religion. Some people believe that by allowing same-sex marriage, it opens the door to other non-conventional types of marriage, like marrying animals, inanimate objects, or even concepts. This is a slippery slope fallacy and is not logical to say one thing can lead to something absurd, like marrying your dog. All in all, the public acceptance of same-sex marriage has been increasing since the early 2000s and is projected to continue. Some sociologists correlate this with an increase in the number of Americans who personally know someone in the LGBTQA community. If you know someone personally, it is much more difficult to justify denying them full equality and civil rights. In regards to parenting options, adoption is the most common route for having a baby by homosexual couples where the baby is not biologically related to either parent. Many have also used ART, assisted reproductive technologies, such as egg and sperm donation with in vitro fertilization or surrogacy, resulting in one parent being biologically related. These options to have a baby, however, aren't as straightforward as it seems. Only 30% of states allow same-sex couples to have a second parent adoption, aka allowing both parents to legally adopt the child. 5 states actually allow agencies to deny adoption to same-sex couples. Currently, California is the only state to prohibit discrimination for sexual orientation and gender identification in adoptions. For most same-sex couples, the child will be biologically related to one partner or neither, but rarely ever both. This has been shown to cause tension in marriage since one parent might feel more of an ownership and connection with the child, leaving the other feeling isolated and sometimes resentful. Couples with babies who are of a different race are more likely to be questioned about their relationship to a child, while the biological parent gets questioned much less. Also, in certain situations, such as picking up kids from daycare or visiting a hospital, access to these children could be delayed due to the differences in their appearances. Women have also reported more difficulty bonding and connecting with their child than those who are biologically related to their offspring. They do not get to carry the developing fetus for 9 months, do not experience the whirlwind of labor, and are unable to breastfeed. These 3 aspects are rated most important for baby mother bonding by most heterosexual couples. Laura Fry recounts her emotions when her wife became pregnant with their child by saying, "If I was to be a mother, why wasn't I pregnant? Maybe I wasn't a real mother at all, but then what, or who, was I going to be? And what role could or should I play? And what should I be called?" This shows the emotions that these women are going through. Employee discrimination is another struggle these communities face that can affect their relationship and family life. One study showed that there was a 42% discrimination rate against transgender women when applying for a job. In fear of being unemployed, people started to remove items from their resume in order to hide their sexual orientation and gender identity. But workplace discrimination doesn't end with hiring. The average household income of non-traditional family was below $60,000. This is well below the average of heterosexual couples, $75,000. And 1 in 5 reported discrimination for equal pay or promotions when compared to their heterosexual counterparts. On top of this financial burden, these workers report a lower overall workplace well-being, resulting in a pessimistic mood, lower work performance, and increased stress. This stress is brought home after a long day of work and can strain their family and personal lives. Sociologists have speculated on the case of lower well-being. In addition to discrimination from their employers, workplace harassment is a large contributor, experienced by 27% of workers. Workplace harassment can be seen as verbal, physical, or emotional attacks. One example would be nicknaming a person in an offensive way, even if you thought it was considered a joke. In fear of discrimination and harassment in the workplace, many choose to stay in the closet. This forces them to be someone they aren't while at work and having to be extra careful when getting to know their coworkers. All of these workplace stressors can play into the decreased financial status of a family and how happy they are when interacting with each other. In conclusion, marriage, parenting, and employment are all aspects of our lives that continue to the dynamic of our relationship, marriage, and families. Every person has their own struggles and difficulties, but the obstacles faced by the LGBTQA community are unlike anything faced by heterosexual families. As the world becomes more accepting of non-traditional families, things become slightly less difficult for these families, with the hope that one day they will have equal opportunities to be equal to heterosexual